Hello everyone! Welcome back to English Listening and Speaking channel. Don't forget to subscribe my channel for more videos every day.
Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel English Listening and Speaking. 5 easy ways to learn English every day. Beginner English Story, English Listening Practice. My name is Daniel, and I am learning English. I have been learning English for a long time, but I was not always good at it. When I first started learning English, I thought it was very difficult. I wanted to speak English well. I wanted to understand English movies. I wanted to travel to other countries. I wanted to talk to people from around the world. I also wanted to find a better job in the future. But I did not know how to learn English. I bought English books. I downloaded English apps. I watched English videos. I even bought a notebook for English words. But after a few days, I stopped using them. Sometimes I studied for 1 hour. Then I did nothing for 3 or 4 days. Sometimes I learned 20 new words in 1 day. But a week later, I forgot most of them. I became frustrated. I started to think that I was not good at learning languages. One morning, I woke up and thought about my English. I asked myself an important question. Why am I not improving? I thought about it carefully. Then I understood my problem. I was trying to do too much at one time. I wanted to learn everything quickly. I wanted to know thousands of words. I wanted to speak perfect English. I wanted to understand every sentence. I wanted to become fluent in a few weeks. But learning a language does not work that way. Learning English takes time. It takes practice. It takes patience. Most importantly, it takes consistency. I realized that I did not need to study English for many hours once a week. I needed to use English every day. So, I decided to make a new plan. I called my plan English Every Day. My plan was simple. I would practice English every day. I did not need to spend 5 hours learning. I did not need expensive books. I did not need a perfect classroom. I only needed to make English a small part of my daily life. I decided to follow 5 simple ways. These 5 ways slowly changed the way I learned English. Today, I want to share these 5 ways with you. Maybe they can help you too. First, listen to English every day. The first thing I started doing was listening to English every day. Before this, I did not listen to English very often. I usually studied grammar from books. I memorized vocabulary. I did English exercises. But I did not spend enough time listening. I soon learned that listening was very important. If I wanted to understand English speakers, I needed to hear English regularly. So I started listening every morning. I did not listen for a long time. I started with just 10 minutes. Every morning, I sat at the table and ate breakfast. While I was eating, I listened to a simple English story. At first, I understood very little. The speaker seemed to talk very quickly. I heard many words, but I did not understand them. Sometimes I understood only 1 or 2 sentences. I felt disappointed. I thought, my English is terrible. But I did not stop. The next morning, I listened again. Then I listened again the day after that. I began to understand something important. I did not need to understand every word. I only needed to understand the main idea. For example, if I listened to a story about a man going to work, I did not need to understand every word. I only needed to know that the man was going to work. I listened for the important information. Slowly, my listening improved. After 1 month, I could understand more. After 2 months, I could understand even more. I started to recognize common words. I started to recognize common phrases. I became familiar with the sound of English. I also learned that repetition was very powerful. Sometimes I listened to the same story 3 times. The first time, I listened normally. The second time, I listened more carefully. The third time, I tried to remember new words. Each time, I understood a little more. This gave me confidence. I realized that listening every day was helping me. I did not need to listen for hours. 10 or 15 minutes was enough to start. Sometimes I listened while eating breakfast. Sometimes I listened while walking. Sometimes I listened while cleaning my room. I found many small moments during the day to listen to English. This was my first important lesson. You do not need a lot of free time to learn English. You can use small moments in your day. 10 minutes today is better than 0 minutes. 15 minutes every day is better than 3 hours once a month. The important thing is to listen regularly. Second, learn 5 new words every day. The second thing I started doing was learning 5 new English words every day. Before this, I tried to learn too many words. Sometimes I tried to learn 20 or 30 words in one day. I wrote all the words in my notebook. I looked at them again and again. At the end of the day, I felt like I had learned a lot. But the next week, I forgot many of the words. I realized that learning too many words was not helpful for me. So I changed my plan. I decided to learn only 5 words every day. 5 words did not sound like a lot, but I wanted to remember the words. I wanted to use them. One day, I learned the words travel, ticket, hotel, airport, and country. I did not just memorize the words. I made simple sentences with them. I want to travel. I have a ticket. I am staying at a hotel. I am at the airport. I want to visit another country. I read these sentences aloud. Then I wrote them in my notebook. I also tried to use the words during the day. When I thought about traveling, I used the word travel. When I saw an airplane, I thought about the word airport. When I watched a travel video, I tried to remember the new words. This helped me remember them. I learned that vocabulary is easier to remember when we use it. One day, I learned the word hungry. I made a sentence. I am hungry. Later that day, I became hungry. I said to myself, I am hungry. It was a simple sentence, but I was happy. I was using English in my real life. The next day, I learned 5 more words, then 5 more. After 1 month, I had learned about 150 words. Of course, I did not remember every word perfectly, but I remembered many of them. After 6 months, I had learned hundreds of useful words. I did not learn them all at once. I learned them slowly, 5 words at a time. This taught me another important lesson. You do not need to learn many words in one day. Learn a small number of useful words. Then use them. Make sentences. Say them aloud. Write them down. Try to see them in your daily life. 5 words every day can become a lot of words over time. Third, speak English to yourself. The third way I learned English every day was speaking to myself. At first, this felt very strange. I thought people might think I was crazy. But I was often alone at home, so I decided to practice speaking. I started with very simple sentences. When I woke up, I said, "Good morning." Then I said, "I am tired." "I need breakfast." "I am going to work." These sentences were easy, but they helped me practice. When I was making breakfast, I said, "I am making breakfast." "I am drinking coffee." "I am eating bread." When I left my house, I said, "I am going to work." The weather is nice. It is very hot today. When I arrived at work, I thought about what I needed to do. I have a lot of work today. I need to answer my emails. I need to finish this project. At first, my English was very simple, but I did not care. My goal was not to speak perfect English. My goal was to become comfortable using English. I also started describing things around me. I looked at my room and said, "This is my bed. This is my desk. There is a computer on my desk. There are books on the table." I looked outside my window. I can see a tree. The sky is blue. There are people walking outside. This practice was very useful. I learned to think in English. Before, I always translated everything in my head. I thought in my own language first. Then I translated my thoughts into English. This made speaking very slow. But after practicing every day, I started thinking directly in English. It did not happen quickly. It took time. But slowly, I became better. I also practiced talking about my day. At night, I talked about what I had done. Today, I went to work. I had lunch with my friend. I finished my work. I came home at 6. I watched a movie. These simple sentences helped me practice speaking. I also learned something important. You do not need a speaking partner to start practicing English. Of course, speaking with another person is very useful. But you can start by speaking alone. You can talk about your room. You can talk about your food. You can talk about your work. You can talk about your family. You can talk about your plans. The more you speak, the more comfortable you become. Fourth, read something simple every day. The fourth way I learned English was reading. Before I started learning English seriously, I thought reading English was too difficult. I opened English books and saw many words that I did not know. I became tired very quickly. So I changed my strategy. I stopped reading difficult books. Instead, I started reading simple English stories. I chose stories that were easy for me to understand. At first, I read for only 5 minutes. I did not try to understand every word. If I saw a word I did not know, I tried to understand it from the sentence. For example, I read a sentence. John was very hungry, so he went to a restaurant. Maybe I did not know the word hungry, but I could understand the sentence. John went to a restaurant. Why? Maybe he wanted food, so I could guess that hungry was connected to wanting food. Sometimes I checked the dictionary, but I did not check every word. This made reading easier. I started reading simple stories every night before going to bed. Sometimes I read about people's daily lives. Sometimes I read about travel. Sometimes I read stories about work. Sometimes I read about family and friends. I enjoyed reading because I learned English and learned interesting things at the same time. Reading also helped me learn grammar naturally. I started seeing how English sentences were written. I saw common phrases again and again. I began to remember them without trying too hard. For example, I often saw phrases like, I would like to, I am going to, I have to, I want to, I don't know, could you please? After seeing these phrases many times, I started using them myself. This was very helpful. I learned that reading does not have to be difficult. You can start with very short stories. You can read one paragraph. You can read one page. You can read for 5 minutes. The important thing is to read regularly. Even a few minutes every day can help. Fifth, use English in your daily life. The fifth way was the most important for me. I started using English in my daily life. Before this, English was something I studied. I opened my English book, I studied for a short time, then I closed the book. English was finished. But I realized that I needed to make English part of my real life. So I started finding small ways to use English. I changed the language on my phone to English. At first, this was a little difficult, but I quickly learned many useful words. I saw words like settings, messages, camera, and calendar. I already knew some of these words. The others became familiar after using my phone every day. I also started writing my shopping list in English. Instead of writing the list in my own language, I wrote milk, bread, eggs, rice, fruit. It was simple, but I was using English in my daily life. I also started thinking about my plans in English. If I planned to go shopping, I thought, I am going to the supermarket. If I planned to meet a friend, I thought, I am going to meet my friend. If I wanted to rest, I thought, I want to relax. I also started watching videos in English. At first, I used subtitles. Sometimes I used English subtitles. This helped me connect the sounds with the written words. Later, I tried watching without subtitles. I did not understand everything, but I understood more than before. I also started listening to English songs. I looked at the lyrics. I tried to understand the meaning. Sometimes I learned new words from songs. I even started writing small messages in English. I sent simple English messages to friends who were also learning English. We made mistakes together. Sometimes we laughed about our mistakes, but we continued practicing. English slowly became part of my life. It was no longer just a subject. It became something I used every day. That was when I started seeing the biggest improvement. My new daily English routine. After several months, I created a simple daily routine. I did not study English all day. I did not spend a lot of money. I simply used English in small ways. In the morning, I listened to English for 10 minutes. During breakfast, I learned 5 new words. While walking to work, I listened to another short English story. During the day, I tried to think in English. In the evening, I read a simple English story for 5 or 10 minutes. Before going to bed, I spoke about my day in English. My routine was simple, but I followed it almost every day. Some days were busy. Some days I was tired. Sometimes I only practiced for 5 minutes, but I did not stop completely. I learned that consistency was more important than perfection. One day, I had a very busy day at work. I came home late. I was tired. I did not want to study English, but I remembered my goal. So, before going to bed, I listened to an English story for 5 minutes. That was all. The next day, I continued. Another day, I was sick. I could not study much, but I listened to a short story while resting in bed. I learned that I did not have to follow my routine perfectly. I just needed to keep going. The first big change. About 1 year after I started my new routine, I noticed something amazing. I was watching an English video. The person in the video was speaking naturally. In the past, I would have needed subtitles. But this time, I understood most of the video. I sat quietly and listened. I suddenly realized how much I had improved. I remembered the person I was 1 year ago. I could barely understand simple English. Now, I could understand a real English video. I was very happy. But something even more important happened a few weeks later. I was traveling in another city. I went to a small cafe. The person working at the cafe spoke English. I wanted to order some food. In the past, I would have been nervous. But this time, I simply spoke. I ordered my food. I asked a question. The worker answered me. We had a short conversation. It was not a perfect conversation. I made some mistakes. The worker made some mistakes too. But we understood each other. When I left the cafe, I felt proud. I thought about all the small things I had done. 10 minutes of listening, 5 new words, a few minutes of speaking, a short story before bed. Simple English in my daily life. All those small actions had become something big. I had improved. I had become more confident. I had learned that English was not impossible. I just needed to practice every day. What I learned. My English learning journey taught me 5 important lessons. The first lesson is simple. Listen every day. You do not need to listen for hours. Start with 10 minutes. Listen to something you can understand. Listen again if you need to. The second lesson is, learn a few useful words every day. Do not try to learn too many words at once. Learn 5 words. Make sentences. Use them. The third lesson is, speak every day. If you do not have a speaking partner, speak to yourself. Talk about your life. Describe what you see. Talk about your plans. Do not be afraid of mistakes. The fourth lesson is, read something simple every day. Choose easy stories. Read a little. Try to understand the main idea. You do not need to understand every word. The fifth lesson is, use English in your daily life. Change your phone language. Write shopping lists in English. Think in English. Watch English videos. Listen to English songs. Find small ways to use English every day. These 5 simple habits changed the way I learned English. But I also learned something else. Learning English is not a race. You do not need to compare yourself with other people. Some people learn quickly. Some people learn slowly. That is okay. Your English journey is your own journey. The important thing is to continue. Maybe today you know only a few words. That is okay. Maybe you are afraid to speak. That is okay. Maybe you cannot understand English videos. That is okay. Start with something easy. Start with one sentence. Start with 5 words. Start with 5 minutes. Then continue tomorrow. One day, you will look back and see your progress. You will understand more. You will speak more. You will feel more confident. You will realize that you have learned more than you thought. I am still learning English today. I still make mistakes. Sometimes I forget words. Sometimes I do not understand people. But I no longer feel afraid. I know that learning takes time. I know that mistakes are normal. And I know that every day is a new chance to improve. So if you are learning English, I want to give you one simple message. Do not wait for the perfect time to start. Start today. Listen to English for 10 minutes. Learn 5 new words. Speak a few simple sentences. Read a short story. Use English in your daily life. You do not need to do everything perfectly. You only need to take one small step. Then take another step tomorrow. And another step the next day. After 1 week, you may see a small change. After 1 month, you may see a bigger change. After 6 months, you may be surprised. And after 1 year, you may look back and say, "Wow, I really improved." Learning English can be simple. You just need to make English a small part of your everyday life. Listen, learn, speak, read, use English. Do these 5 things every day. Your English will grow slowly. Your confidence will grow too. And one day, you may discover that English is no longer something you are only learning. It has become a part of your life. So, start today. Start small. Keep going. And never give up. 5 minutes today can become a better English tomorrow. 5 new words today can become thousands of words in the future. One simple sentence today can become a full conversation one day. Your English journey starts with one small step. Take that step today.